Long and perhaps poorly worded question. Essentially, it was the first night with a guy, and he wanted me to wear a sports bra. I've noticed in the past that when men pick out underwear, they go for solid tone colors and brief style panties rather than thongs or G-strings. I also think they prefer socks to stockings. Anyway, I'm curious. Anytime I talk to a guy in real life, it gets awkward. Story 1. The important aspect of lingerie is not its type or style, but the implication that comes with it. If she's wearing it, she is clearly expressing her desire for her partner. That is what most of us want, much more than any particular style. Story 2. To me, it just functions as a green light of sorts. If I were on a date and someone wore lingerie, I would assume it's because she wants me to see them, which means we are going to fool around. If my partner wears lingerie, which I know she doesn't find more comfortable than anything else, then I assume she's interested in messing around as well. Story 3. Essentially, it was the first night with a guy, and he wanted me to wear a sports bra. I'm still unpacking this statement. Story 4. Tastes will vary, but as a general rule, men are basically kids. It's Christmas, and you're the present. Sure, pretty wrapping is nice, and we enjoy unwrapping, but we care more about the present than the wrapping paper. Story 5. Honestly, simple but classy is wonderful, and so is a sports bra. The sexiest underwear is the kind she feels confident in. That confidence is way sexier than my preferences. Story 6. Lady Lurker here. If my man is in the mood when I'm feeling seductive, he will take me however I offer myself to him. If he's in the mood when I'm just living my life, he gravitates toward me in athletic wear. Leggings do make my booty look good. Men are simple creatures. Figure out which body parts they like best and dress accordingly to grab their attention. Also, consider the fabrics. Soft, pettable things are nicer than scratchy, lacy things for both parties. Story 7. It's not the style or anything like that. It's your partner showing desire for you. Wearing such attire demonstrates her want for you. That's what gets the juices flowing. Is what I think, anyway. Story 8. Fancy lingerie is marketed to women, so it's more about what women think than about what men really like. It's similar to when a woman does a boudoir shoot for her husband. It's probably more about the woman seeking validation than about pleasing her husband. Anyway, I generally prefer simple and maybe cutesy underwear rather than lacy fancy lingerie. Story 9. A simple white, tight-fitting tank top without a bra and white thong or boy shorts that are too small should work with just about anyone. Keep it simple and don't make it look like you tried so hard. That's sexy. Story 10. I like the lingerie more, like a fancy bra and panties. If I'm choosing between socks and stockings, I'd pick stockings. Story 11. I think it's more that lingerie is a specific type of sexy, and having only the same type repeatedly can get monotonous and lose its appeal. To put it in relatable terms, lingerie is sexy in the way that a guy in a suit is. It's sexy but also refined, fancy, and high status. A sports bra is also sexy, but in an athletic and active way, similar to a guy wearing workout clothes or warm-up sweats that show off his muscles. Different clothes give different vibes, and I don't think it's about the best clothes to wear as much as what clothes give the right vibes for the guy. There is a theory behind this, just like all fashion. For example, you could explore the math behind absolute territory if you like wearing skirts and high socks, but I think sexy clothes are primarily about setting the mood. A comparison might be how girls like guys to do suggestive things to get in the mood, while guys like girls to wear suggestive clothing to achieve the same. The key to all this isn't so much what you do or wear as whether it fits your partner's turn-ons. Story 12. As a mature man, I have learned to appreciate the emotions a woman feels when she wears frilly clothes to feel attractive and sexy. Women's emotions are often misunderstood by men. Over time, I have learned to acknowledge these feelings and offer her some validation when I see this, although I may be pretending to appreciate it so she feels validated. My real thought process, driven by testosterone, is that I prefer to get to the main event. Plain briefs are more attractive to me than thongs and G-strings. As a man, I appreciate a woman who initiates, such as beginning with a non-sexual massage, because that is sexier to me than the frilly wrapping. Men don't receive much validation in life. I support you in making yourself feel sexy, attractive, and feminine, But all these expensive undergarments offer only a very short moment of attention for a man. Advertising has convinced women to spend money on this underwear and that wearing it gives them validation. Feel free to make yourself feel great. Wearing this is also a signal to men, but just a signal. Have you seen the Father Ted episode where Ted saves the priests from accidentally walking through the lingerie department? It's hilarious how we are conditioned to laugh at that through convention and marketing. Story 13. It seems I'm in the minority, but when chosen well, nice lingerie accentuates all the best aspects of a woman's body. It's like dialing things up from the norm. I prefer stockings personally. I think they are one of the sexiest things a woman can wear. That being said, I'm going to be more than happy with just about anything, which probably goes for most men. Story 14. I can tell you this. The right pair of running shorts will turn me on as much or more than lingerie. However, running shorts generally won't make a woman feel super sexy. If she feels sexy in lingerie, then sex is sexier. This is a long way of saying lingerie is mainly marketed to women, but who cares because it still works out for everyone. Hopefully. Story 15, woman here. I hope it's okay to answer this. I think the reactions from my partners aren't necessarily about the look or style of the underwear, but the implication. If I wear a thong, my partner knows that I'm looking to be intimate that day. Now I'm wondering if guys prefer briefs over thongs. Story 16. Just nude. Much better. Lingerie makes no sense to me. It's overpriced intricate underwear meant to be put on only to be taken off shortly after. Story 17. I think most mainstream lingerie is not flattering to women, but to each their own. Most lingerie is busy, with lines going every which way. Personally, I've not seen a better visual than her getting out of the shower with wet hair, wearing one of my t-shirts. As far as panties go, I've never thought thongs or G-strings were all that exciting. But boy shorts are cool. Maybe I'm just into the more athletic apparel look. Again, to each their own. Story 18. I don't know, I'm a thong or G-string and heels kind of guy. Stockings don't work for me more than socks, but neither is fine too. Story 19. Lingerie is awesome. With that said, a white tank top and some cheeky cut panties are my favorite. Story 20. For me, I enjoy the foreplay leading up, so more fabric means more I get to tease off of you before we go at it. Also, underwear that covers more is more fun to take off. It's like opening a present. Story 21. Men are not a monolith. Every man is going to be different because men are individuals too. Personally, different women appear differently in various outfits. I'm thinking of one woman who turned me into an absolute lustful person in a spaghetti strap top and plain cotton panties. And another who, while lovely to be with, really transformed into something very provocative when she wore a garter belt and stockings. There isn't a hard and fast rule. It's important to communicate and talk about what you want, what he wants, what you're willing to do, etc. I should call her. Story 22. I personally dislike lingerie. It does nothing for me. I've dated people who bought it as a surprise, and the idea was sweet, but it never stayed on long, so it was kind of pointless. Let's just eat sushi in bed naked. Thongs weird me out for some reason. They look uncomfortable, and we're about to see each other's butts anyways. Let's just walk around naked or wear normal underwear. Story 23. Well, if you ask me personally, I clearly dislike lingerie. I find it useless at best and tasteless at worst. I don't know why. It's either the colors, mainly red, or the design, mainly threads that cover little, but I just can't like it. Story 24. I had the hardest time getting my ex-wife to understand that although I could acknowledge how wearing lingerie made her feel sexy, I genuinely preferred her naked. Story 25. I have always liked lingerie. I realized in my 20s that there are sex costumes in lingerie. What I often saw being marketed were sex costumes, which were often impractical, poorly made, and uncomfortable for my partner to wear. Fast forward to today, I introduced my wife to Adore Me, which offers cute, modern prints and functional lingerie. Story 26. I'm a plain guy, and if I have a say in what she wears, she can choose plain panties and a t-shirt. That will get me going because she looks more comfortable in it. If she wants to wear lingerie, that's fine, but she doesn't have to wear it for me. Story 27. My wife always got upset that I didn't notice a new piece of lingerie or that her bra and panties matched. I don't know. I just want to see her naked. Story 28. I like my girlfriend most in her regular clothes and, of course, outside of them. Thigh-high socks and solid black underwear are the best, though. Story 29. As long as she's comfortable and I'm included. Preference, I do like the matchy-matchy, as my wife calls it. Story 30. Wear a cute t-shirt and regular panties. Cuddle more than usual as the little spoon, and it's about to be on. I like spontaneous moments. Lingerie is okay, but it kind of gives me performance anxiety. Story 31. I don't even like G-strings. To be honest, thongs can look amazing. It just depends on the woman's body. I saw it once on a woman, and I will never forget it. To be honest, I don't think there's a formula for what guys like. We are not all the same, and what I might like might not be at all close to what my friends do. The way women are manipulated by marketing is so wrong. You won't get what you think men want out of the marketing. That's not how we work. Story 32. Lingerie is often marketed to women with the implied assertion that this is what men want you to wear. As a man, do you think there's a difference between the type of underwear men want a woman to wear and what's being sold to her? The difference is that you've been trained to care, while we don't really care at all. That is women's fashion in a nutshell. Story 33. I wasn't going to comment, but a lot of people are saying no, so I'll add my thoughts. I like lingerie on feminine partners because I like the appearance. They usually look nice in an aesthetic way, not a sexual way. It shows effort. If someone is dressing up for me, I know that they care and want to put effort in. That's the attractive part for me. Even if it wasn't lingerie, but maybe they remembered which bra I liked on them and picked it out, that would still have the same effect. Story 34. I want to find her attractive, be comfortable with her, see her as a good person, and want her to love me. Her underwear has very little to do with my attraction. If I'm seeing it, either something has gone terribly wrong, or I don't pay it much mind. Bras are uncomfortable from what I hear. I've met plenty of women who stopped wearing them because they are uncomfortable. It's changed nothing. I notice, but I don't really care as long as you're happy. The lingerie industry is one of those industries like skincare, hair care, and male pattern baldness treatments that exists to make people feel bad about their appearance. Story 35. Most of the time, when I see someone in lingerie, they look like an old lady to me. It does nothing for me. Story 36. I've noticed in the past that when men pick out underwear, they go for solid tone colors and brief style panties rather than thongs or G-strings. That absolutely applies to me. The sexiest underwear I ever saw on a girlfriend was simple blue bikini briefs. Frilly lace and stuff like that, you can keep it. Story 37. We guys don't care about the underwear that women wear. We just want her to take it off for a full nude. Story 38. The extra lacy lingerie can look great, but it's terrible to manage as my hands just stick to it like Velcro. Story 39. I have my preference for women's underwear, but honestly, it doesn't matter much. Just reaching the panty stage is exciting. Many of the panties my wife wears are ones I've chosen. Thongs or G-strings are great, but not my first choice. Story 40. Honestly, if I'm seeing her underwear, I'm glad to be where I am. Plus, if that's what we're getting down to, they'll come off soon anyway. I don't really care personally. I mean, underwear that's more flattering is good, but that's pretty general. But if I'm spending the night with someone, my brain is more often than not going, oh, this is happening, hell yeah, and not, oh, she wears those underwear? Like, I'm just happy to be there. Story 41. My favorites are her wearing one of my dress shirts and a smile or one of her halter tops with shorts and a smile. Story 42. How do we know what is being sold to her? Personally, I like the beautiful items like lace and silk. However, many people, such as athletic types, don't really care and feel intimidated by Victoria's Secret products. Also, I dislike sports-related items, especially Spanx, because they are hard to remove. Some people don't mind since they just expect you to take it off. However, in my case, where removing clothing is part of the romantic equation, Spanx disrupts the vibe because it is awkward to get off. Story 43. I don't like satin on a woman. However, I have a huge panty fetish. I prefer thongs and strings. I also like when a woman wears full-back panties that don't cover up the whole cheek with polka dots or simple patterns. Additionally, I like booty short types. Story 44. For me, lingerie is gift wrap. A woman wearing gift wrap is providing a present I really want, and that's very attractive. Story 45. I don't think this is one of those things that can be generalized. What is one man's kink is another man's turn-off, Socrates, I bet. Story 46. I want her to want to be seen. What she's actually wearing or not barely registers. The simple fact that you desire to turn me on is so incredibly sexy. Story 47. Two effects. It makes women feel sexy and makes men feel wanted. Buying him condoms would probably have the same effect. Story 48. I have particular tastes. I don't like things designed to be sexy at the expense of functionality. I've never been attracted to girls in stilettos. I find panties that look like they actually function as an undergarment sexier than a G-string. I prefer pajamas and a t-shirt to a negligee, and I prefer jeans and a t-shirt to a sundress. I'm not every guy, especially when it comes to sundresses. I know most guys love them, but I'd rather a girl wear something that looks comfortable than something that looks sexy. It shows she's comfortable and makes it feel more spontaneous. Story 49. Yes, the same is true for women's fashion in general. Women's fashion should not be conceived as primarily for the purpose of appealing to men, because that is clearly not what it optimizes. Story 50. I like lingerie because of the implied nature of it and the vulnerability. The exact type of panties she's wearing doesn't matter, and I wouldn't want her wearing sexy lingerie every day. It's a special thing. Also, I'm a boudoir photographer, so I probably know more about lingerie than some other men. I get advertisements for it all the time and have seen a lot of it on models. Story 51. Ultimately, good lingerie is lingerie that will be removed shortly after your partner sees you wearing it. It's like fancy wrapping paper on the present that is you. Does that mean lingerie should be cheap because you won't use it a lot? Not necessarily. Should lingerie be expensive because it makes you look better? Also not necessarily. Lingerie is like every other case with clothing. If it flatters your appearance, it's good lingerie. That particular lingerie might not flatter someone else in the same way. It's a personal thing and requires practice to find the outfits that work for you. Story 52. I don't have anything that I want a woman to wear. Literally didn't want her wearing anything. Nude rules. For that reason, I have never liked lingerie, and neither my wife nor my partner own any. To me, a long t-shirt is as sexy as any lingerie. Story 53. I love lingerie. I think it's super hot speaking as a guy, but I also want to wear it myself. Hopefully, girls would like that. Story 54. I don't know. Lingerie would be nice for her to surprise me with. If she feels sexy in something, I'm all for it. I'm perfectly satisfied with a t-shirt and anything. I like to feel like she's comfortable, whether that means feeling sensual or physically comfortable. I don't know if a lot of men share that opinion, though. Story 55. I don't really care. I mean, it can be hot, but more because of the things happening around the lingerie. Something about fancy underwear seems to make people who wear them more keen on seducing their partners, which is nice because outside of those times it gets pretty easy feeling like I'm being a bother and not attractive to her. Story 56. I tend to interpret a woman's character by the choices she makes in lingerie. Whether she prefers off-the-shelf pantyhose or invests in quality stockings tells me a lot about her general approach to life. Story 57. I watched a comedian once who said we judge lingerie by the way it looks as it flies across the bedroom. Story 58. Honestly, I don't care for lingerie. If she wanted to be extra sexy, maybe a teddy or a similar type of nightgown. But I just like my wife in her shorts and a tank, or a tank and panties. She doesn't need lingerie to get my attention. Story 59. For me, it's anything that's different from the norm because I love my wife's body and seeing it wrapped up differently is like unwrapping a sexy present. It's fun. Story 60. Well, it's a lot about personal tastes. Some may prefer lingerie and very long socks, others a sports bra and small socks. That being said, the most important thing for men is to make them feel desired. Story 61. I mean, honestly, as a man, I don't care if a woman is wearing lingerie or a sports bra. I'm just trying to get the underwear off of her so we can be intimate. Story 62. Lingerie is more about the mindset than the style. Sometimes less is more, but other times more is more. For example, I had a girlfriend who was very petite. She put on a white corset and stockings with garters. It boosted her bust and highlighted her legs. She felt confident in it and wore it for special occasions. In that case, it was typical lingerie that worked for her and for me. There was alignment. I had a different girlfriend who wore more of a teddy style. She felt comfortable since it wasn't very revealing. I found it kind of boring since it hid all the exciting elements and negated her shape. That was a case where the marketing did not live up to my tastes. Then you get into things like kink. Maybe you see masks, latex bodysuits, and so on. Those don't do anything for me, despite being standard from a marketing perspective. So I think it depends on the intention of the wearer and what the piece accentuates or hides, which really affects my preference as a man. Generally, just the act of wearing lingerie sends a clear message. I'm sure what's marketed to women as what men want is probably the result of focus groups. However, what I find attractive and what she finds comfortable, empowering, or sexy can be very different. Story 63. I don't care about lingerie, and neither does my wife. I also don't care much about the implications of it leading to sex. I would be more interested in it making her feel sexy or desired if that's what she needed. If she feels turned on by it and feels attractive, then she's happy and I'm happy. But I could take it or leave it. Story 64. I personally have never cared for any lingerie I've seen. To me, it's always been a bigger thing for the woman. It makes them feel sexy, and you just go along with it. At least, that's my experience. I love more that it makes them feel so sexy and happy. Story 65. Nope. My girlfriend is enthusiastic about getting some. She thinks it will drive me wild. I don't feel that way but haven't been able to explain it to her fully. Every time I try to tell her, I just want her to feel attracted, loved, and desired no matter what she wears. I don't want to break the confidence that the idea of lingerie gives her. Also, I want her to be comfortable. It's better if she wears a set of soft pajamas or the old clothes she sleeps in than lingerie. If she wants something to really get me going, something like that, or even a sundress does the trick for me, as it symbolizes she feels safe and at home. Story 66. I don't really have a preference for what type of lingerie my girlfriend wears, but I always appreciate when she puts in the effort to dress up sexy for me. It's the intent more than the clothing that matters. Story 67. There is a discrepancy. When we first got married, my wife had a bunch of lingerie, the lacy belt kind of stuff, ready to go. Meanwhile, I was lying there watching her pick which one she wanted to try while she was in shorts and a tank top, wanting to jump her then and there. But I don't think it's the company's fault in this case. Many women enjoy lingerie because they like wearing it and how they look in it. Guys might like it, but that's more of a happy accident. Story 68. Picking out clothes, most men I know, including myself, will go for practical, no-nonsense, solid items. For fancy wear, it's mostly about implications, but we might have heard our significant others complain about how uncomfortable that stuff can be to wear. Also, sportswear looks good as well, so yeah. Story 69. I have some preferences, but often I want stuff that's easy to remove. Or just skip the underwear. That suggests you're thinking ahead. Story 70. I don't know. I like a lot of them, but I'm guessing that I'm not too far from the cliché. I like things like stockings, thongs, and baby dolls. The combination of corset, panties, and stockings is quite visually stimulating for me. However, I'm not too difficult to please, and a lot of other things would likely work as well. Story 71. It all depends on each person. As for me, I never cared for lingerie. Whatever my wife wanted to wear is okay with me if she's okay with it. I was the same with my ex-girlfriends. Story 72. What most excites me about lingerie is that she puts in effort based on what she thinks I like. I don't care much about the shape or color. It's the thought of me when she buys and wears it. Story 73. You can have a red light button and a green light button. If the signal works like a green light, it indicates intimacy. Lingerie is one such signal. The type, style, color pattern, color match, design, cost, and brand usually don't matter. If you are taking pictures, making a video, and creating a memory. Story 74. I prefer boy shorts to thongs. If my girl is walking around in one of my t-shirts and some boy shorts, that's the sexiest thing ever to me. Story 75. If she makes me feel desired, then it doesn't matter what panties she has, especially if we both know they are coming off in 5 minutes anyway. Story 76. Personally, it depends. Briefs can be cute, but I'd be lying to say things aren't also sexy with a skirt or Daisy Dukes. Nightgowns are hardly ever advertised, and that's the real deal. Story 77. Not my preference. All the buttons, hooks, and attachments give me a feeling of frustration when looking at lingerie. You know what I love? An off-the-shoulder t-shirt and a loose pair of shorts you only wear around the house. Comfy clothes, that's sexy. Because that's real intimacy, not a show being put on. Lingerie is just more companies telling women they need to buy things for men that we actually don't love that much. There's a lot of that. Story 78. What a great insight. They even named a piece of clothing after its supposed function for marketing. Story 79. Either is fine. Making the effort matters more. However, I recommend switching it up every now and then. Story 80. The style matters if she feels sexy in it and if it gives her confidence. Marketing is created by men to make women feel like this is what men want. It's been that way for over a century. For us, we largely don't care. We'll enjoy seeing you in it either way, especially knowing it's likely to come off for fun times. If by lingerie you mean daily underwear and not sexy outfits, wear what you want. We're not going to care if you wear full briefs or thongs. If we've gotten far enough to see what you're wearing, we're already happy. Story 81. Lingerie is definitely sexy, but not as sexy as the classic panties, thong, and a tee. Sheer lingerie is my personal favorite if I had to pick. Story 82. Stockings are great. The rest doesn't really matter but should match the color of the stockings, preferably all in black. Story 83. I prefer lacy outfits and stockings to solid underwear or socks, but I've never been upset at seeing a woman in her underwear. Story 84. Far more appealing than lingerie is when, at the right time, a woman unexpectedly abandons all her clothes and comes right to you. By the right time, I mean you've had a good evening talking, flirting, and it's clear to both of you that you want to end up naked together. Story 85. Women are often more attractive with a little bit of clothing than completely nude, but no specific styles or types are universally more appealing than others. Personally, I prefer very simple underwear and stockings. I don't like lace, as any transparency is obscured by the pattern, making it pointless. Story 86. I guess my username says it all. My wife and I have an agreement. She buys the everyday wear, and I buy what I want her to wear. She has a very nice and substantial collection of thongs so far. Story 87. My mind is at ease when my wife wears the lingerie I bought her. It means I made the right choice. She's picky about underwear, and I find it challenging to choose something that matches her tastes. When she wears the underwear I bought her, I know she's happy, and she wants them off. Story 88. I love lingerie. I think if I were a woman, I would lounge about the house in lingerie a lot. So sexy. Story 89. I find pure white lingerie and really dark lingerie to be very attractive personally, especially if it's lacy. It has a lot to do with revealing all the right things without revealing too much, but most importantly, it's the implication. Her wearing it means she not only cares enough to wear it, but also enjoys it and is looking forward to it. Story 90. I think it's marketed towards men, and any women who think like the original poster says are just a collateral bonus to the manufacturers. Story 91. Thongs and G-strings are considered sexy, but I feel like they're ultimately influenced by adult films. Honestly, a pair of boy shorts or hipsters look great on a woman. They are underrated. Story 92. Honestly, the best thing about lingerie is that it gives women more confidence. Men are simple creatures. We can find you attractive fully clothed, In pajamas, in plain underwear, in lingerie, or in nothing. Sure, lingerie is nice, but I think most of us aren't going to really care what underwear you're wearing. What makes a massive difference is confidence, though. Good sex is when both of you are confident and just having fun. Bad sex is when you're both nervous, self-conscious, and uncomfortable. Story 93. Lingerie is like gift wrap. We remove it as quickly as possible to get to the gift underneath. Wear what makes you feel good. Trust me. Story 94. There are a lot of guys who don't really like lingerie of any sort, heels or makeup, usually overlapping with not loving tattoos or breast implants, which are loosely related. I assume those guys didn't stumble upon an Elvira movie at the exact evening their male hormones began operating in their brains at age 11. But I digress. Everybody's got a thing. This guy's thing is sports bras. That's a pretty tame thing. Story 95. There is always a profound difference between what men want and what the media tells women that men want. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.